All right, welcome back for the first time to a Two Whiskeys podcast. I'm Ryan, an alcoholic in the prime of his life.
And I'm Captain Eric.
And this is the mental patient that I got to do my podcast with.
How about you let me do my own intros?
You're right, my bad.
And I'm the mental patient that he got for his podcast. Captain Eric.
Yes, okay.
Two Whiskeys.
Ah, come on, man.
Sit still, my boy, for I'm going to tell ye a story that may very well save your life.
So, this podcast does have a point.
We'll get to it, we promise.
I swear most of it's not just us doing a bad job at shit-talking each other. So, first things first.
Obviously.
What's this podcast going to be about?
Well, mostly we're major, I don't even want to call it hobbyists, but we're heavy into the SCA, which is the
Society for Creative Anachronism, and once you get fairly deep into it, it really can't be a hobby anymore. I think all the time that it takes up and all the money that it takes up, it's significantly more than a hobby. It becomes almost a way of life.
Yeah, it's like a second life entirely.
And touch on that a little bit more, as I said, the Society for Creative Anachronism, it's more or less the sweetened down or shortened down version of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a society of about 30,000 paying members worldwide, mainly based in the United States. All different kinds of people, all different kinds of walks in life. Officially, we're all dedicated to the history and reenactment and research of the Middle Ages, anywhere between like 680 and 1600 AD. I don't want to say like Renaissance Festival, because that doesn't do it justice.
I think for a mundane person, that might be like the closest thing to associate it with. Think of it like a Renaissance Festival, except on a much grander, realistic scale. Jake, what the fuck are you doing?
I was trying to ignore it.
Host. Got it.
But for lack of a better analog, Renaissance fair, except no one's in jeans and t-shirts.
Yeah.
Everybody's in, medieval garb or clothing.
Really just trying to live, I guess, that lifestyle to the best of, our abilities in the modern world.
Again, officially, there's all kinds of arts and sciences centered around that time frame. There's heavy fighting where you get to make full suits of armor and just beat bloody dog shit out of each other. There's rarely injuries, serious injuries.
Yeah.
Every now and again, someone will get just a really horrible bruise, or a broken finger, or a concussion, or broken ribs,
Damaged ego. Lots of things.
A lot of damaged egos. But outside of that, we're interested in all that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, some level.
Yeah. But outside of all that, we like to drink. And we like to visit with our friends from all over the country.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
have a good time for days on end. The smallest events we go to is 2 days long, 3 days long. Biggest event we go to is like 2 weeks long. And 10,000 people show up to that. And it's amazing.
Yeah. And for all the arts and sciences stuff, and for all the actual fighting part, there's just an equal, I feel like at least equal measure of people that legitimately just go for the medieval scale partying aspect. Fucking phone off.
Oh, right. I had it silenced, but then I had to call our podcasting friend
Shut the fuck up.
to fix
Yeah,
your
it's okay.
mistake.
Yeah.
Take that on post and figure it out. I'll call Mike about it.
It's just legitimately, large scale camp out, firelight, torchlight, drums, belly dancing, drinking, parties.
I could talk about specifically Penzing for years on end, probably nonstop.
And this is the beginning of that.
Yeah. I've been to 6 of them. I could talk about the SCA for the rest of my life. I've probably been to about 20-ish SCA events now, all the way from feast to baronial events.
Yeah, just including all the minor
camping
stuff.
events. Yeah. We'll get more into that in not this podcast and later podcasts. Outside of speaking on our SCA hobby and our way of life, what else is the Two Whiskey podcast going to be talking about?
Well, one of the major things we're going to be touching on. Stop looking at me like that. Mine just vibrated. We decided.
What just vibrated?
Nothing. We decided one of the major things we want to be doing with each one, we're going to be trying different whiskeys, kind of expanding our horizons on alcohol, so to speak, if we haven't done that enough already. So, I guess for our first one, what we're going to be trying
is Blade and Bow Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey from Louisville, Kentucky. It's 45.5% alcohol, and I look forward to trying that after we sum up what we'll be talking about.
Yes. And you're going beyond that point, I guess. Well, we'll be doing a different whiskey every podcast, and other than that, we're going to be talking about obviously SCA-related stuff, anecdotes related to that, just current events, lifestyle like anecdotes between the two of us, maybe experiences we've had, or experiences our guests have had. Quick, you want to say something, there, Jake? Or did you just have to ask?
I'm just worried about you staring at me like that.
Don't look back. I'm just trying not to look at the camera.
I'm going to just cut his entire audio out. That way you seem like the crazy guy from the Constitution.
I am.
No.
You're right.
Yeah. Will we be speaking on the vlog for the main channel?
Yes, for any of those who may be listening that are possibly interested in what our daily lives look like, or at least our weekend happenings, we do have a vlog on YouTube that we try to maintain kind of regularly. I don't know, but it's just random shenanigans that we do. If not, just little bits here and there, places we go. We will sometimes go to bars dressed as pirates and see how the public reacts to that kind of stuff, or go to events or cons.
So will we be speaking, you said current events, will we be speaking on how the coronavirus has affected our life, like every other podcaster in existence?
Well, I feel like we should try to dip into a different threshold as far as it goes and talk about how the coronavirus has affected our lives.
Right, changing up a little bit.
Yeah,
I like that.
obviously.
That must have been hard to do.
I wrote it down and everything.
Super easy.
Now, on a more serious note, the biggest event that we go to every year is called PennSIC. It's up in Pennsylvania. For us, it's up in Pennsylvania because we're down in the south, trapped here. But because it got canceled, we kind of wanted to at least touch on that a little bit, because that is one of the biggest things that we look forward to every single year. And it honestly hurt a lot of people for it to be canceled, I feel like.
Yeah. A lot of people financially depend on that.
Yeah. A lot of people go there as vendors trying to sell merchandise that they create. They craft like leather workers, metal workers, that kind of stuff. So it's a huge hit for them.
I personally depend on it because that's how I get my yearly validation from all my closest friends. But
because we do not give it to them any other day, I promise. Piece of shit. Yeah, well, we were touching on that, and I feel like talk about PennSIC somewhat for anybody that may be listening. Hopefully, people that are listening are either interested in something along the lines of PennSIC, or are people that go to it and are kind of feeling our pain, can sympathize a little bit on getting to miss out on that.
Before we actually dig into that subject, is there anything else we're going to be speaking on? We're going to be talking about politics and the Trump presidency, or are we going to be talking about women's rights and Black Lives Matter and abortion?
Well, that's no. I don't know if we should touch on any subjects like that.
I just wanted to get that out there.
Let's see as the alcohol keeps going.
What you're going to have to edit out later.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I can't wait till we start doing live streams.
Ooh.
Every single question I'm going to try and bounce off you is just going to be incredibly controversial.
You're just going to try and entrap me to make me look like an asshole constantly? All right, well, I'm going to do the same to you.
Okay. I'll just give my opinion and ruin your channel. I don't know if the mic picked that up, because I have a tendency to just not enunciate very well, so I'm just going to state my opinion and ruin your channel. That looks like you got it.
Yeah, I think we got it. We're good.
Yeah, no, I was on our friend Mike's podcast.
That's a candle. That's a candle.
It's an electronic candle.
They don't know that.
They do now.
Well, yeah, obviously. All right, safe again.
So yeah, I was on our friend Mike Shea's podcast,
Basement Lounge.
Basement Lounge Pod on Twitch, and I think it's on everything else. Yeah. I was on that actually talking about Pinzig not too long ago, and I listened back to it, and I had just called in. I don't know why you didn't tell me that no one could hear me. I couldn't hear me. I couldn't understand me. I guess I just do this thing when I talk where I just run all of my words together into one very long sentence with no space in between. There's no cohesive space. I don't get it. So whenever I listen back to myself, I don't know how any of my friends actually understand me when I talk. I'm surprised I don't more often just get blank stares of just dumbfoundedness.
I think you do. You just kind of ignore them.
I definitely ignore it.
You look at it as though they're awestruck by you instead. Like, yeah.
I disagree. I think they're just awestruck by me.
We didn't listen in the first place.
I am, in all fairness...
So you did hear me.
What?
You responded to me. Should we go ahead?
Oh yeah, we should finally branch into, actually trying this whiskey.
As I mentioned before, Blade and Bow. I picked it up at the local Frugal McDougal liquor store.
Love that name.
I think it was about a $50 bottle of whiskey.
It makes me feel really bad about the next whiskey we're going to be trying.
Oh yeah, that would be like 17.
Hey, we'll talk about that later.
So it looks pretty. It's got like an actual metal key.
Doesn't open anything but the bottle. So.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Let's just try it in random locks we find. Right? Yeah.
I think get that satisfying like cork thing.
Jake, make a cork noise if you can. Oh yeah, he's got it.
That's pretty cool though.
Thank you. I'm gonna edit that in to sound like it came from that. Let's do a little cork snip. It just smells pretty nice.
Wow. I'm actually looking for for our audience that
is not listening in the future where smell-o-vision is a thing. This actually smells really good.
Can we get Ryan Shotglass over here? Or Fabor? I actually used to be a very big whiskey drinker.
I never stopped.
We're just gonna get a little sip now.
Yeah, give it a taste. See what we're working with.
I'll probably drink it for the rest of the podcast if it's good. Again, this is the bottle, so we're going to show you what it looks like before we actually give you our opinion on it. Never had this before. Should mention that neither of us are aficionados on whiskey, as far as I know, unless you've done some night schooling. Is there a school that you can learn what whiskey tastes like?
School or not?
That'll teach you what Jim Beam tastes like.
I'll teach you what Evan Williams tastes like.
So I actually have no experience in sampling or tasting whiskey and relaying that taste to anybody or saying that it's even good or not.
I know some overly flowery words that I could use to describe it that I'm not sure if will hit home and be accurate, but I'm going to use them. Cheers to that. Cheers.
Jake's just over there drinking Captain Morgan still. If you wanted some, we could afford you a shot. Oh yeah, you don't like whiskey, do you? So, right off the bat, they're not lying. It's whiskey.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I should point that out.
It does taste alcoholic. I know we're really bad at this. Shut up, Jake.
It's really not bad. Like from a layman perspective, like, again, I used to drink a shitload of whiskey back in the day, mostly Jim and Jack. So like right off the bat, just it doesn't hit your senses like Jack Daniels does. It's definitely a lot smoother than that.
Yeah.
So that's my first impression. Granted, I've just had like 4 shots of Captain Morgan. You want to try some? What's your first impression?
Well, it It hits hard, but not too hard. It is a little mellow. It mellows out very quickly. You definitely get the actual like earthy wood tones that you get, from the barrel that the whiskey is obviously processed.
That is flowery.
Yeah, very flowery words that I'm gonna try. You can definitely taste the blades and the bows.
Aged and you want to guess the wood?
Oak.
Specifically, what kind of wood? What kind of oak? You are right.
White oak.
It's
White oak.
It is white oak.
Shut the fuck up, Jake.
It is white oak.
I guess.
What else?
Barrels.
Yes, it is barrels. It is white oak barrels. You have 2 more adjectives.
What the? Fucking burnt. I don't know.
Charred.
Charred. Okay. Hell
Yeah.
yeah, I was close. I'm doing great. I'm on
Charred blank white oak barrels.
Charred. American.
American.
Holy shit.
Charred American white oak barrels. This was not, I have to say, this wasn't planned in the slightest. You nailed literally every single one of them.
Yeah,
except for Jake got one.
He stole mine.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, aged in charred American white oak barrels to create a whiskey with notes of
Alcohol.
yeah, no.
This one I can't. I can't do this one.
2 adjectives, notes of blank blank cereal, comma,
Kind of cereal.
apparently sweet toasted cereal.
Like Lucky Charms.
I don't know, I wasn't getting it. Sweet, well, is Lucky Charms toasted?
Yeah,
Okay,
toasted.
whatever, man.
Oh, is there no Rice Krispies?
Warm winter spice and,
Oh.
I don't know, it'd be hard to guess, dried fruits.
Dried fruits. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, admittedly, I got none of that.
Hey, you got what barrels it was in specifically.
Yeah, I could taste the wood. Most whiskey tastes like wood.
This is going to be a very good whiskey review podcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Most whiskey tastes like wood. Oh, was it also in a charred American oak barrel?
White oak.
Whatever. The other one might not be.
That's fair.
The peanut butter whiskey you
Hey,
got.
let's not talk about
You
that.
think that was aged in white oak barrels in America?
I hope it was. I want that to be on the bottle, just so this conversation comes back up. Oh fuck yeah, he's illiterate. Hold on.
No, I was just confused. It's inspired by a distillery that's less than 100 years old.
They're inspiring at all.
I'm actually gonna have another shot.
Yeah, I'll take another one of those. Actually, that's fantastic.
It's easily one of the best whiskeys I've had,
Well, even Jake will take one. He hates whiskey.
in probably a couple years outside of Pinzik, because that's not fair. Because you're just gonna taste some of the best shit ever.
Yeah, that's
Same with the other bigger events we go to, like War of the Wings and the SCA. It's not fair. You're gonna be drinking homemade liquors and ciders and meads.
Yeah, SCA events are basically an international alcohol taste testing.
Label facing out.
Obviously, in case the brand deal does come through.
Yeah.
I've emailed them over a dozen times, haven't heard back at all.
All whiskey tastes like wood.
That's
You
what I
just say
that's
that
what I said in
every
the email.
podcast, except for Blade and Bow whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. It tastes like blades and Orbos.
And Orbos. And like I said, I'm in a similar boat with our friend Jake over here sitting behind the camera. I know he can't drink whiskey like at all anymore. He's actually sipping on it a little bit. It doesn't look like it's hurting him that much.
At all.
Like he has just a horrible gag reflex to whiskey, and like, if he smells Jack Daniels, like he'll throw up. If he sips it, like he'll throw up 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, I'm aware. I was there.
Jake, don't talk.
And I actually got to a similar point. It didn't last as long, where I just couldn't, I couldn't think about Jack Daniels.
Oh yeah, I was actually that way.
Like,
at one point with
the
Ed Williams.
smell fucking like raised the hair on the back of my neck.
Yeah, it's like you're
Suppressed.
ready. It's like you're ready for a fight
Yeah.
when you smell it.
Yeah. You good, Jake?
Were you laughing at me, or is the whiskey just getting you finally?
little bit of column A, a little bit of column
Jake,
B.
don't fucking talk. You're not in this podcast.
Even if you're asked a question.
Yeah.
That's going to make it really awkward for the story that we have coming up later.
Yeah.
What about for the price? What do you think? Would you buy that again?
Overall, I think, as far as like the amount you're getting and how like actually smooth it is and how good it tastes, I'd say that's right around the wheelhouse. So you said it was about 50 or
It was
something?
about $50. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, for a $50 bottle of whiskey, I think that's more than fair. I think that's going to be a fantastic sipping whiskey.
The metal key really adds a nice touch.
Yeah.
I like that.
You know what? Let's just keep getting these and see how many of those keys we can get stacked up.
I mean, they have this like 5-key like program. It's interesting.
Yeah, it lets you open the door to Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah. The 5 keys of Blade and Bow once hung on the front door of the iconic Stitzler Weller Distillery. Weller Distillery. These heavy brass keys represented the 5 steps of crafting bourbon and symbolized the art of making the world's finest whiskeys.
Holy shit.
It's like a red bottle.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's try 5 keys.
I think I would buy that again, not because I don't sit around and just sip whiskey. I'm not, a 60-year-old divorced man yet. Is that who drinks whiskey?
I mean, that's one of the people that drinks whiskey.
Really expensive whiskeys. I'm not Ron Swanson.
Yeah. We all wish we could be.
What do you say?
Jake, quit talking.
I'm not Jake's dad. I don't just sit around and drink whiskey.
Yeah, I was thinking about you, bro.
Stop defending me.
No. That's like a Jack Daniels kind of thing. Like fraternity and like 30 and younger guys that just walk into a bar looking for a fight. Yeah, that's like Jack Daniels.
Yeah, absolutely. All day.
Jim Beam. That's like those things are those 2 whiskeys are probably never going to be on this channel.
We don't need to review those. Hopefully you know them if you're watching.
Yeah, everybody probably knows those. I would buy this again, I think. Granted, I haven't tried many more expensive whiskeys.
Yeah.
But for the price and for the selection that we have around here and the presentation, you could give that to somebody and have them try and say it's a $80 bottle of whiskey, and they probably believe you unless they were some sort of connoisseur.
Yeah. Not wrong. So,
I'm gonna have another.
all right, do you want to do a rating system or?
I mean, this not Good Mythical Morning.
How many sausages is it?
Dink it.
You're pirates. Go with the balloons.
Probably copyrighted.
Just got the cease and desist order from the link.
You have to buy us out, you son of a bitch. So, do we want to touch on the SCA and the coronavirus thing more, or do we just want to jump directly into something else?
I mean, I don't know how much overlay there is to say on that subject. I mean, there's, like you said, 30,000 like active paying members in the SCA right now. How many would you say go to Penzic on average each year?
Paying members, I have no idea, but on average, about 10,000 go up.
Yeah. Okay.
Go there.
And roughly like 10,000 people.
Yeah, probably about 8-5 of them are from America. Probably get about 1,000, maybe some more from Canada, and then you get about another 500 to 1,000 from across seas. That's just my general estimate of how many different nationalities.
Yeah, not a single like actual statistic to back it up. It's just what we.
This is my general guesstimate.
Yeah.
I mean, I have nothing to back it up except personal anecdotal experience.
And that may be the most valid source we actually have, or at least have the time to.
If we took all 3 of our personal experiences and actually, broke it all down, then we could estimate it. But one person's anecdotal experience, I think guesstimate's accurate.
Okay, fine, fair. We'll stick with it.
I won't use it in the future until I do.
Yeah, you do. So anyway, back on topic, I hope.
Also, you whispering liar behind the camera probably just makes you sound like a ghost or some shit.
I hope so.
You're not sunshine. Calm down. So, yeah, to break back into our point, we'd say maybe like 10,000 people every year go to Penzic, roughly. That's the main thing they truly look forward to every year. Like, what do they reference it, going to Penzic, they call it going home. Because so many people see it as a home
When you
compared
go,
to this.
when you go and you check in, you sign in. The person that signs you in will say, like, hand you your token and say, like, welcome home. Because for 2 weeks, it's its own little township. It has its own mayor. It has its own little, like, postal code.
Yeah, it has its own zip code.
Like, people are setting up actual, like, could be permanent structures. Like, they're showing up and building something. They're building it until they're tearing it down. Like, there's one camp that has this 2-story villa that has like 5 bedrooms in it and like 2 staircases and actual bed frames, like wooden bed frames that are heavy as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you go there when Penzic isn't happening, there's this, huge, like, probably, I don't know, 1,700 square foot wooden rectangle just sitting out there.
Yeah, just an indication of where it should be.
Yeah, on the bank of the lake, just there. That's their thing. They own that. Like, people are setting up tents and stuff that take hours to set up, and breaking it down takes about the same time. Then they have to go home, set it up again because it's canvas, and if it is packed up wet, it's going to get mildew and mold and just get ruined.
Yeah, a
People
lot
are
of
putting,
TLC goes into it.
and like those are just a few examples. Like, people are putting like hours and hours and days and weeks and months of effort into this. Like, don't even get me started on the autocrats and the people that run the
People
event.
that actually organize it.
Yeah, like they're thinking about it just year round. Like, not just thinking about it, but they're planning it year round. People are putting classes and stuff, teaching people the arts and sciences, teaching people how to fight, running and like marshaling fights and archery and thrown weapons. And there's all kinds of activities, almost 24/7 for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just dozens, hundreds of people come together to organize this and to let thousands of people come and enjoy it and just make it, the best experience of that year for them.
To make it a second home.
Yeah. So with this coronavirus coming around, they just decided yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah, it was either yesterday or very recently.
We're coming up on Penzic 49. This will be the 49th year that they've done it. And it always happens around the beginning of August into July. And they decided to postpone it until next August. So we're not losing Penzic 49.
No, it's still going to
We
be
just
there.
have to wait an extra year for it.
And that does, unfortunately, that pushes back Penzic 50, which is a major point for the event itself.
Yeah.
Because that is the 50th year that it's been in effect. A lot of planning was going into that. It was going to be massive. Like, you think of Penzic and you think it's already a fairly massive event, huge. It was nothing compared to what Penzic 50 was probably going to be.
I know people already been planning. They've been planning for the last 3 or 4 years for Penzic 50.
Yeah.
They were talking about bringing parties that Penzic hasn't seen in 20 years. They're like, people were coming back that haven't been to Penzic in 20 years.
Yeah.
So much planning was already going into it. I have to say, I am happy they didn't just cancel 49.
Yeah, honestly, pushing it back an extra year for 50, I feel like it just gives them a whole another year to make 50 all that much better.
Yeah. There's that, and if they canceled 49, then 50 could have been canceled.
Ooh, yeah, that's true.
And I'd rather it get pushed back. If I remember correctly, I feel like I want to say that a lot because I haven't researched any of this stuff that I'm talking right
Again,
before we start recording.
This is as far as the research goes.
Yeah, this is
our
a
personal
guesstimate.
experience.
So, but I did read several comments. They just had to cancel Gulf Wars, which happened like a month ago-ish.
Yeah, something like that.
And if I remember correctly, they canceled it. It was Gulf Wars like 30 coming up.
Yeah, every 10-year anniversary of something of a major event is a big deal.
I could be wrong, but yeah, Gulf Wars 30, people are already talking about it was the war that never happened. and people are already planning on Gulf Wars 31, stuff like that. I don't know if any of that is set. Maybe I should look that up. I don't really plan on going to Gulf Wars until I get like another week of vacation at my job.
Yeah.
all of my 2 weeks of vacation is already taken up between Pinsick and War of the Wings and conventions and birthday and just other random crap. So I'm glad they didn't just cancel it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that means we're not going to miss 49. No matter what happens, nobody has to miss a Pinsick. Nobody has to. There's never going to be a Pinsick that didn't happen. So there will be, at some point or another, there will be a Pinsick 50.
Not gonna have to miss out on that, luckily.
Unless we die before that.
Hey. Well, I mean, you're the only old man here. So.
I'm like 2 months older than you. I can't wait for your birthday beach trip to get canceled and be pushed back to Jake's.
It's also your birthday beach trip now.
It's always going to be my birthday beach trip. That's another thing. The coronavirus, like every year for the last 5 years, we've done a beach trip for my birthday. You have to pee, Jake?
Well, I was going to be sneaky about the fuck.
That's okay, I'll edit that out.
Done.
Okay.
Yeah, but every year for the last, I think, like 5 or 6 years, maybe more, we've been going to the beach for my birthday.
Yeah, and that's another thing we put a lot of effort into, put a lot of planning into.
Yeah. This year was supposed to be the height of that. Like we were at the most expensive hotel in the penthouse, like 5 bedrooms, 5 balconies, like thousands of dollars going into this.
And
they curfewed Myrtle Beach. They closed all the bars. They closed all the beaches.
Couldn't even go on the beach.
And recommended social distancing and forced social distancing, like lawfully in some places.
Yeah, I think it was.
Or unlawfully. That could be a thing we could talk about.
That's up for debate. I don't really want to debate it just yet.
You sure? It could be one of those controversial things.
Ooh, yeah.
Big Brother 1984 kind of thing.
Look, I'm not sure really calm down. No, we'll wait. Back in your fucking seat.
I think if you tried, you could make more noise.
Alright, I'll try again.
I know we branched into the beach trip and whatnot and how the coronavirus has affected that. Obviously, it's been canceling a lot of stuff, a lot of major events. Yes, that sucks. I guess I would, obviously rather, things be shut down and be safer than risk it just to have some fun for a week, but...
That's another controversial thing we could talk about.
Let's not talk about that right now.
I have several opinions.
We'll get to that later. Right now, truth be told,
I am progressive, though. You can cut that out.
No. He's definitely an insurance company. Cheap show.
Yeah, that's why they admitted me to the mental institution.
Oh, right.
That's called a callback in the comedy business.
How would you know then?
I'm not friends with any funny people, so.
Ooh, okay. Now we both are hurting. That's okay. Well, all right. Well, while we're on the subject of reminiscing about Pinsick, I was wanting to maybe break into Joe. What would you think is like your favorite story of Pinsick? Like, what's a great story to tell somebody who's never experienced Pinsick that could give them a good idea of at least the kind of dynamic we experience when we go there?
I actually do have the perfect story in my mind that I've already spoken on before, okay. So I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. Mine's fairly short, to be honest, because this is one of, I think this is one of my favorite experiences that I had. It involves an old friend of ours, or 2 old friends of ours, technically. It's actually when 4 of us, we were stumbling back from a long night of partying. We were going up a hill. We were trying to get back to camp. And this was with Draven and Jack, actually.
Was I there?
You were there.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about.
I broke my glasses that night.
Yep.
But anyway, we're stumbling back up this hill. I believe Jack is carrying Draven, our former Commodore, on his back. going up this hill, and then who was it that did it first? Because for some reason,
Well, Jack, if I remember correctly,
didn't she like hang upside down on his back? Okay, so Jack tipped Draven on his back upside down. She's hanging upside down from this like 9,000 foot tall dude.
yeah, roughly.
Realistically, he's like what 7'9", 7'10", or 6'9", 6'10".
He's a little bit shorter than.
He's 6'7".
Yeah,
Jake Shaw.
yeah. No, he's 6'7", nothing but heaven.
That's right. Okay, so we have a 6'7" friend, Jack. No hair on his body. The
A little
man
bit
is
shorter than
just
tall
sick.
Mike, his friend.
Yes.
6'8".
Yeah.
So she's hanging upside down on his back, and did she go to take a drink? I think it was. It all kind of blurs together a little bit, but
I think she demanded a drink or something like. She tried to drink one way or another.
yeah, and one of those she tried to take a drink.
Yeah, and we had like horns.
Yeah, we had drinking horns or tankards along those, and I was like something along this.
Yeah.
And she ends up pouring beer directly into her own eyes.
And nose and
Yeah, just
basically everywhere but her mouth.
yeah. And she flails around and is somewhat in pain of this. And then what?
I don't know if that puts it in the right context. She flails around and is somewhat in pain. Is that what you said?
Yeah, vaguely. I mean,
She was cussing at someone walking by.
yeah, just cussing at strangers walking by from being in pain of having this alcohol in her eyes.
She was cussing at me the next day about it.
Shut up.
Well, no, I vividly remember some random person walking by. They said something like non-consequential,
Yeah.
and like we're in the middle of Pinzig. It's like what? It's not late at night, or is it super early morning?
It was kind of late.
It was either early morning.
It was
or,
definitely in the AM.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think it was around like 5 a.m. ish. I could
Yeah.
see well.
Yeah, not okay.
So like the sun was coming up.
Yeah, there was light, so that. Yeah, probably around 5.
Yeah. I could see well enough that it was either at like 8:30 p.m. or like 5:30 a.m.
Yeah, somewhere in
The
between
sun
there.
was either going down or coming up. It was probably about 5:30 a.m. because nobody else was out except for one drunken passerby who decided to make some sort of side comment, and Draven just immediately wanted to fight him.
Yeah, like straight up wanted to throw down.
Yeah, so she gets beer in her eyes, and beer in her nose, and beer in her ears, and beer in her hair, which apparently is good for you.
Apparently. Well, the yeast.
Gross.
Anyway, I believe she was bitching about how much that hurt, and I think it was to prove a point as to how much of a baby she was being. Joey here, it's like, it's not that bad, and just douses his own eyeballs, just full open, doesn't flinch at it, douses his eyeballs in this beer, and immediately realizes that was a mistake. Granted, I don't think you reacted as poorly as she did.
Immediately is a kind word.
But is it correct?
Yes.
Okay. We'll branch on from that. And
It was as immediate as I could function at that point in time because I was drunk enough to splash my own eyeballs that were wide open with some random alcohol that was in my horn after a very long night of partying at Pinzig, where just random people were randomly filling up your horn with random shit.
randomly, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I knew at that point in time, it could have been pure moonshine.
Just 180.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't because I can see right now.
Yeah, he's not blind permanently.
As far as I know, who knows?
So
We
he's
could all
doing
be in a
great.
simulation. That's a different.
Let's not talk about that right
different
now.
subject.
So I'm laughing at them because I'm just fascinated how fucking stupid I find them at this moment. But within this crew of people and breaking into the SCA, there's hierarchies. Our encampment is based around being a pirate ship. This is my current captain, at the time, he was the first mate of the ship. I was a lower rank than him. Well, as I'm sitting there laughing, I get ordered.
Were you a pledge at the time, or were you crew?
No, I was full crew at the time. I was full crew. But I do get ordered to splash my eyes with this beer.
I know for a fact I ordered you. Did Draven also order you?
I think she chimed in after the fact because I was
Yeah, do it, pussy.
yeah basically
Rolling around on the ground.
trying to tear her own eyes out. So I get ordered too, and naturally, I have to at that point. So I take off my glasses. I have them off to the side. I splash my eyes openly with this beer. It is agonizing. I end up at least falling to the ground like a fucking action movie dramatic scene, just like hit the ground on my knees. And
Charlie Sheen in Platoon.
God, yeah, along those lines. And I don't know when it happened specifically, but at some point, rolling around in agony, blinded, I broke my glasses, which I am blind as fuck, by the way. Like I can, like.
It was probably around the same time that Jack was pouring beer into his eyes.
No. He was very methodical about it because he wanted to be one of the gang, and he felt left out. So,
well, he's probably at that point in time. Maybe he wasn't experienced as we were at pouring straight alcohol into our eyes.
well, yeah, because we'd done it at least once before him.
Or maybe he actually knew the right way to do it because he's been to like 30 more Penzics than we had.
I don't know if he would have remembered it actually because he's been to 30 more Penzics than us.
It's true, but he's also a doctor.
We'll touch on that another
I don't know
time.
if we should mention that.
He remembers a lot more of what he
I
did
would
with
have
us.
cut that.
We're also
so people
not
can't
saying
look
his
him up.
real name, so it's okay.
That's true. It's just yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
There's no you didn't mention where he's from, right?
No, not at all. So he, like I said, methodically, like the fucking doctor he is. I want to be one of the gang.
That's actually exactly what he said, if
Yeah.
I remember correctly.
He takes his, I think the horn at the time. He took one of ours. I don't think he took his own, and legitimately
Like a teardropper.
yeah, like a fucking eyedropper.
Yeah.
Drips beer right into his eye, like 3 drips,
That
and then
teardropper.
realizes immediately that it's a bad idea, obviously. So there are 4 of us, eyes in agony, just burning, rolling around on the ground. Passerbys going, like they're walking past us, like, what the fuck is going on here?
No, it's fine. We just poured beer into our eyes
Like
of our own,
idiots.
accord.
And so, yeah, so that is easily one of my favorite stories. Causing self-harm is one of my favorite things about Wait. No.
You know what one of my favorite stories involving you is?
Oh, God, why?
See, our friend Ryan here within the SCA has the nickname La Sombra Blanco, right? Normally we just call him Soul. He's my first mate right now. He's the first mate Soul.
Yes.
At the time, I think he was lowly crew member Soul.
Yes, lowly.
And then he got the nickname La Sombra Blanco. White Shadow. Yeah. Well, you see, there was a moment in time, and I only bring this up because you've already brought up our old Commodore Draven. She ended up running into, getting into a bit of a tiff with some guy at, I think it was the Mardi Gras party several Penzics ago.
It was my first Penzic, actually, that I ever went to.
And I really wasn't privy to any of this. Otherwise, I would have stepped up and done something. I did walk up on the situation at one point, and I got the story firsthand immediately. But I walked up right after the climax of the situation. So let me spell it out a little bit. You were there.
Yeah,
So-
apparently.
To keep this story short and simple and fun, this guy was getting really handsy and talky with Commodore Draven. at the time. And from what I remember of the story, chime in if you need to, or if I get anything wrong. But Ryan standing in the shadows somewhere on a treetop somewhere.
That's dead accurate.
Here's our Commodore at the time say, "Don't touch me." And
realistically, I was actually sitting at a fire, just admiring belly dancers and listening to drum beats and just enjoying the moment, drinking it in. It's my first Pensick.
So he's on a treetop with his coat billowing in the wind.
No wind going on, by the way, just happening naturally.
And he hears 2 miles away on the other side of Pensick, "Get your hands off me." And this is a fairly crowded area, too. This is actually the center of the Mardi Gras party that thousands of people were at in separate camps. This was like the cul-de-sac area. And Ryan teleports, right, directly behind this man, lifts him up with one arm. This wasn't a small guy by any means. Like, he was a little bit smaller than I am. And Ryan, catches him in the crook of his arm and just lifts him up, takes him to the side, looks at Draven, goes, "You okay?" It doesn't matter what this man is doing at this point. He doesn't have options anymore. This is when I walked up, by the way. So I can speak from firsthand experience exactly what happened.
Well, my actual experience of, I did come up behind this guy, I picked him up by his neck, like so, put him aside, I was making sure the situation was okay, and he just hung there like a dead fish. He didn't do anything. He did not want to escalate the situation, I feel like, because he knew he fucked up.
It's probably the good choice, because, and not necessarily unbeknownst to him, he was probably aware. He sees this happening, and he probably could have fought back in one way or another.
Yeah.
Maybe. But he also knew that our entire crew was within about 100 meters.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I think we had like 30 fucking people in the crew. And we had multiple different ways to get everybody's attention. And we actually had like drinking chants and everything. It's insane. So that happens. I walk up, and this man's just in the crook of Ryan's arm, like 4 feet off the ground, right? And it's like, oh, that guy's dead. Ryan just killed that guy.
He just broke his neck and put him off to the side. I'm taking this home with me.
I vaguely remember, I wanted to say vividly, but I don't remember it that well, but I vaguely remember walking up, like, "Hey, we all good here?" And Draven was like, "Yeah, we're good now."
Now, man.
Okay. And that's about the last thing I remember from that situation. I assumed you set him down at some point.
I did, because
Did you take him off into the treetops?
Yeah, like the fucking creeper from Jeepers Creepers. I just flew off into the darkness with him. But no, I asked if everything was good here. They said yes. They were a little freaking like, put him down. It's okay. So I set him down. Like, all right.
Cool. You're being treated like Lenny from Of Mice and Men. Come on, man.
Don't kill him.
Come on. Calm down. All right.
And
I don't have to do this, man.
I go back to the campfire. I grab my drink from our campmate, and I sit back down and just go back to what I was doing. I'm like, okay, problem solved. Somehow.
You just actually assaulted a man.
In all fairness, he assaulted
It was
a woman
self-defense.
first.
It was self-defense.
Yeah. So clarify that.
Yeah. Self-defense works for a third party. I don't know if that's true in Pennsylvania. I mean,
Or true
I live my life by South Carolina laws when it comes to self-defense, where we have stand your ground and castle. That's a whole other thing.
I pulled a gun out on him and immediately shot him.
Shot him in the fucking chest
Yeah.
6 times. Then he tried to run away. I shot him in the back of the head 20 times.
Yeah.
I had to reload twice.
Stand your ground.
Stand your ground laws.
You know what? I feel like we're breaking into controversial subjects. So, okay,
Maybe.
So that's I shared my favorite story, and you shared your favorite story involving me.
Now it's time for you to share your favorite story involving me.
Okay, so
Because your first one didn't.
you were in it.
It literally did. Yeah, I know. That's the joke.
Okay.
All right. So, my first Pensick, where I'm trying to figure out how much I want to preface this story with. So,
Right now.
we're an hour in. Okay, I'll try and make it a little bit short and sweet.
Well, I don't want this story short and sweet.
With a bit of context, though. Okay, well then you talk while I take the shot.
Okay, well, he's taking a shot right now. Look at him go. He's chasing it at the moment as well. Oh, yeah. Okay, he's holding it. Proving to be a badass. Ooh, look at him. Staring me down. Staring me down.
Are you casting my shot taking?
Goal! Alright, so
God, I need a cigarette. Anyway,
So, yeah.
so this is my first SCA event ever. This is about 6 years ago.
More than that.
We've been to 6 Penzigs.
7.
Penzig
This will have been the
43.
This will have been the 7th that's coming up.
Yeah, so we haven't been to it.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
Ass.
Y'all-
This is my first SCA event ever. It just so happened to be Penzig that our friend Jay got me into. I ended up going with Jake, who's behind the camera right now. If you want to come over here real quick.
Yeah, let me show your face.
No, just come over here.
Oh,
though.
God damn it.
Yeah, you gotta stand
Effort.
up.
So, you have to get around for me down. There we go. This is my friend Jake. I'm like 25.
How old are we?
30.
30?
You're
29,
30. Calm
30.
down.
26 years.
About 25, 26 years now. So this is our first Penzig about 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, it was at this point it was 6 years ago.
All I know is 2013.
So we're coming up on the 7th one, or should be the 7th one. It was 6 years ago. And then our friend got us into, and we just kind of, the two of us, we were the front runners, more or less, for lack of a better word, of our friend group at the time. And we kind of just went to scout it out. One of our other friends also went. He went a week before us and stayed for a week, so he left at the same time that we arrived. And he had a great time, but we showed up for the second week is when all the fighting, partying, and when everybody really shows up to have a good time. We show up for that. We're about, we showed up, Saturday, I think? Friday morning? And we showed up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
We showed up Saturday morning.
And we couldn't see anything because it was pitch black, and we had no idea what to look for. We had no idea of the rules and regulations of the site. We didn't know what you can and can't do, what you can and can't wear. And more or less mortified. We're walking around with literally everything that we brought because we didn't think we could drive around the site
Yeah.
at all. And we made our best attempt at the time of garb and stuff because we thought we would get fucking arrested and beaten to death if we weren't in medieval garb and stuff. So we're walking around like fucking hobbits with massive bags on our back. We look like fucking Patsy from Holy Grail, right?
Okay.
And we felt like it. We walked by the camp that we were supposed to be at 2 or 3 times. So we knew the general area. Again, this was 500 acres, 120 blocks, 10 camps per fucking block, 10,000 fucking people. So fast forward 3-4 days, Wednesday, right? We've got a feel for Penzig at this point. We've already taken shots of moonshine at 8 o'clock in the morning because some shitty old 180-year-old trucker fucking peer pressured me somehow.
Oh, it wasn't peer pressure.
It was just my fucking turn.
It was
I
his
know. We've experienced so much already. We've basically been drunk for 4 days straight. We wake up Wednesday in our camp up in the Serengeti. So to break that down a little bit, for the areas of Penzig, you have the Serengeti up here up north. You have trailer parking and
Campers and whatnot.
yeah,
right?
campers and stuff all the way up here. You have the Serengeti, which is just no shade at all. That's why it's called that. And that's where
The friendly area.
that's where the bulk of the camping is, all the way up here. You got B block up here, and that's just battlefield. You got battlefield over here. So Serengeti, B block, battlefield, market area, secondary market area, and then the bog all the way down here. And that's where all the partying happens. We're camping up here. It's our first event. We're camping with our friend's friend. So we have no idea who any of these people in our camp are.
Right, they said they were going to take us down to the bog, the party area, the bog swamp area, and they were going to like throw us to the wolves or whatever. They clearly didn't know who the fuck we were.
Yeah, of course.
We'd already, at this point, we would already drank with the best of them. We've drank the best of them under the table. We've done all kinds of fucked up shit. I don't want to get too in depth into that. Like,
branch on that later.
yeah. So we wake up Wednesday morning around, I don't know, 8 o'clock. Like, let's go check out the bog area all the way down here. We're in the Getty again, all the way up here. And, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, so we're already baking in the Pennsylvania sun out in the middle of this massive plain.
There was no sleeping.
There was very little sleeping. We wake up fairly drunk, like kind of teetering on hangover, right? Right.
Almost.
Well, where were you at that point when we woke up? Do you remember?
Just still drunk.
Just still drunk. Okay. I think I was, if I remember, I was about teetering on hangover. I think I grabbed a Guinness to have an Irish breakfast.
Good breakfast.
And we head down to the bog. And we'd already, Draco actually had already made a friend at that point down there. And like, let's go to this chick's camp. Happened to be Rome, which we've become friends with so many of them over the last 6 years. But we go down there, and it's a walk. Again, like 500-acre area. It's what, like a quarter mile, half a mile walk.
About half, 3/4, yeah.
Yeah. We walk all the way down there. We're parched at this point. And we walk up on Rome, and they have, hard to describe. So they have this big, like, canopy, day shade kind of thing, with carpet and actual, like, heavy couches. Like, couches you would see in a living room. And they have a coffee table, and they're just having, like, a sake party. There's 6, 7 of them hanging out with a sake set and hot sake, and they're just drinking it. And it's 8:30 in the morning. I'm like, cool. And our friend's there, and we come in, or she lets us in to the camp, and we drink some sake. We're there for about half an hour or so. Some stuff happens. We're all having a good time. And I at this point, I should preface that I like telling this story because it's a 24-hour period at Penzic that I remember best because I drank the least over the last 6 years of Penzic. So there's that.
Mm.
So it's 8:30 in the morning, and we're drunk, and we're at a sake party at our friend Camp Rome. And we hear people shouting mimosa, right?
Continuing story. Edit here. Continue.
Where do you leave that in?
I don't know.
Where were we? So,
Where'd you leave off?
no, I left it up to Jake, actually, and he just went to the bathroom.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was the mimosa thing.
Jake, calm down.
So, yeah, we're at Rome's sake party. It's about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and we just hear people shouting mimosa over the hill, maybe 100 meters away or
just
so.
Chanting. Right?
You weren't there.
No, I'm just saying.
You've heard the story 1,000
they
times,
chanted,
but yeah.
right?
Yeah, you've been to a mimosa party, so obviously you're aware. I'm sorry that I acted like that. And so we hear this, and we look at our friend Daisy, and like, why are dozens upon dozens of people just yelling mimosa over there? Like, they're having a bacon mimosa party.
Like, we should know.
This is our 4th day at an SCA event ever.
And you haven't heard of the bacon mimosa party.
They're like, come on over, So, and I should say, since this, we've never missed a bacon mimosa party Wednesday morning.
Oh, yeah, never miss it.
Since this point in time. And we roll up, and there's about, 100, 200 people. It's about the same amount of people every time you've gone as the first time we went.
Yeah.
I point out the first time we went, she took us through the back of 3 other people's camps instead of going straight there on the road.
She took us through Springwood. Now, Springwood has like a ninja path that goes through. Like,
Yeah.
You didn't get to experience the full level of ninja paths through Pinzig. Like, I've learned more.
We had a tour guide.
I've forgotten more ninja paths at Pinzig than you've ever fucking learned.
Flex.
Yeah, I've forgotten all of them.
I know of 3 that don't exist anymore. So, yeah, I guess so.
I learned of maybe about a dozen or so, and I don't remember any of them anymore. Anyway, yeah. I forgot about that, actually. As I just said, I forgot about every fucking ninja path. So, yeah, we roll up, and there's like 150, 200 people just having a great time with horns and mugs just full of mimosa. They're just popping bottles of champagne. Every time they pop a cork, everybody yells mimosa, and they dump it into a cooler full of orange juice. And they're just giving everybody mimosas just constantly. All you can drink mimosas. I should mention the SCA events. Obviously, they don't have a liquor license, so they can't charge for alcohol. So everything's free. Like, you should tip, obviously. But everything, all the alcohol is free.
Yeah. It's just about a good
It's
time.
all you can drink. It's all you can drink at this specific party at 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning. All you can drink mimosa, and all you can drink bacon. There's just, people walking around. Did I say all you can drink bacon? I said the exact same thing on Mike's podcast. Right? So, yeah, all you can drink mimosa, all you can eat bacon.
Okay.
And they had, like, at that point in time, from what I remember, they had, like, 3 or 4 very, like, elderly ladies on the stove just slaving away, making pounds upon pounds of bacon for all these greedy motherfuckers.
They made the best bacon.
It was amazing bacon. Yeah, you just, like, pass out in the lawn of their camp off of, like, just a stomach full of orange juice and champagne and,
You're just chilling out on the fucking
fried pork.
chilling on the grassy knolls there, just take a nap.
Yeah. So we had like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 mimosas, and we filled our horn up because at that point in time, like, I don't want to extend the story too long, but I feel like it's kind of a staple for SCA virgins. You have to get a horn,
Absolutely.
right? I eventually evolved into getting a mug because you can actually set it down without a weird horn holder that kind of works.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had horns at the time, and to touch on that just a tiny little bit, just a tiny little story. We bought our horns our first day at Pensick, you remember. And you buy them online, actually, and they come like pre-sterilized, like they've been put in a autoclave, right?
Yeah.
Or they've been boiled or something, and that's fine. And a lot of the time, you can just use it right after that. So we had all natural horns that we bought. We paid like $8 for it, $10 for it.
It's good times.
Nobody really told us that when you're buying just a straight up fucking horn, that hasn't been treated at all, nothing's been done to it, it was just fucking cut off.
Yeah.
That you should, wash it, dry it, and then melt some beeswax or some kind of wax and coat the inside of it. Because apparently, if you do nothing to it, and you fill it with some random shitty craft beer and drink it, it tastes like pure fucking death. It tastes like you took some beer and you put it inside of a carcass of some sort of mammal that you shot 2 weeks ago, and you shook it around a good amount, right? And then you just scooped it back out and drank it.
I'm going to need you to stop giving me so much credit.
And I've drank some bad shit at Penn.
But you haven't
Like, some of the best shit I've ever had in my entire life, I drank at Pensick.
Absolutely.
Some of the worst shit I've ever drank in my life, it was designed to taste that way, I've had at Pensick. That is the worst tasting thing I've ever had in my mouth.
Well,
Well, you want to make it gay?
I
You don't count, right?
right?
I knew that's where you were going. It tasted like death. That's the only way I could describe it. Right? You were there. You did the exact same thing I did. You actually got over it at some point.
I don't think he ever really.
He
got
had
over it.
priorities.
Yeah.
He had different priorities at the time.
I did. I didn't have a
Very
girlfriend.
thirsty.
Awkward
So we
silences
leave.
are tight.
So we leave the bacon mimosa party, and we mosey on down the street a little bit. It's 10:30. We're fucked up. You know,
Trash. Yes.
yeah. I mean, and we could handle our alcohol at this point. Don't get me wrong.
But you're going on like 29 hours drinking. So.
More than
Yeah.
that.
No, yeah, we're going on about 72 hours of just straight drunk.
Yeah.
But we wake up and we feel like we're on a hangover or we're about to get a
Little
hangover.
hair of the dog. Good to go.
Yeah, a little hair of the dog, a little bit of water. Water is very important.
Of
Hydrate or
course,
die.
stay hydrated.
Yeah, stay hydrated, hail hydrate.
Continue editing story here. All right, as you were saying.
So we're leaving the bacon mimosa party, horns full of mimosa, and we drink that within 5 minutes, of course. So we're parched, right? It's about 11:30 ish, maybe 12.
Somewhere between 10:30 and 12. We're really
somewhere
drunk.
between 10:30 and 2 o'clock. Because we roll up around the corner, like probably a half a mile away from where we just left, and we hear cheering. And we walk up on it, and there's this weird Penzic-esque sports event going on called Bizball.
Yes, baseball.
Yes, Bizball. Now, all of us, since this point in time, had participated in Bizball. Me and Soul here are actually on a team in Bizball for the last, 3 years?
2 for me,
Ish.
3 for you. Yeah.
Drago as well has played, he was actually on my first Bizball team.
Mhm.
He didn't do good enough, so I dropped him.
Ever since then,
Bizball, to put it bluntly, it's a home run derby, like baseball style, except instead of baseballs, it's full cans of skunk beer, just really bad warm beer that you don't want to drink.
It's been left out in the sun for who knows how long, and it's also not baseball bats.
Yeah, it's your own. Like you have to personally make some sort of bat. They say in the rules it has to be made out of wood and it can only be so many dimensions and all this kind of stuff. There can be metal in it, but I mean, I've seen bats with nails sticking out of it. I've seen T-ball bats, plastic T-ball bats that have been filled with concrete, so they're 40 pounds. I've seen all kinds of random shit, and I think they'll just kind of let stuff in. If it's funny.
Cool, yeah, it's funny or cool.
And you have to be able to strap it to your wrist.
Yeah,
That's
so it doesn't
one
go
thing
flying
that
into
they're
the crowd.
sticking on. We actually, one of my teammates actually broke the stick that I spent hours making. And I personalized and I carved all these designs into it. And I carved our sigils into it. And I wood burned all this kind of stuff. And I spent days wrapping the handle and all this kind of stuff. And he ended up breaking it once on a beer and it flew off. Thank God, not into the stands, the opposite direction of the stands. So, as I said, stands, there's like 200 people watching this event going on, just cheering on, and they're all drunk and naked, and it's crazy. It's just insane.
They're not all naked, but there is naked.
Yeah, you don't have to be naked, but there's naked.
Yeah, it's there.
There's a good amount of it. I think last year there was a dozen Australians drinking pony kegs behind us
Yeah.
when we weren't at that. We play now, recently, we play as Jesus. We all dress up like Jesus. And that's it.
Yeah.
And it's a hit. I love doing it. Everybody else loves seeing it. It's just the perfect level of blasphemy. So this first Fizzball game, we walk up on, we have no idea what's happening. What the fuck fuck is this? We just see people with sticks, we see a home plate, and we see people just throwing beer at each other. I mean, I think one of the first things I see is someone get a bad pitch and they get hit in the fucking head. They get hit in the forehead with a beer at the wrong angle, and they're just bleeding everywhere down their face. And, it's this fairly fit guy, and, doesn't care. I don't know how to put it, really. He gets blood all up in his eyes and his face, it's just everywhere, and he just wipes his face, and he's shirtless, like, pretty much everyone else. His hands just covered in blood, and he just stares at her for a second, and everybody pauses. Like, it was the most gravitas I've ever seen, and such a drunken situation. He just looks at it for a second, and everybody's like, and he just, and people would go fucking nuts, just yelling and screaming, and he immediately gets another pitch, and he fucking kills it. And beer goes everywhere, and metal shrapnel goes everywhere. So we take a seat.
Naturally, it's
because I want to see how the rest of this goes down. My best highlight of that specific event that went on for the next 4 or 5 hours was a beer can getting hit at me. It wasn't busted. It was just kind of sprang a leak and got hit directly at me. I'm sitting in the outfield way behind everyone else, and I ground it, and I pop it, and I drink it because what are they going to do? And I have no idea the rules at this point. I have no idea the regulations. But I've been in music for like 4 days at this point.
And is obviously drunk.
And I'm drunk as shit. And again, we finished our mimosa
20 minutes ago.
20 minutes to 30 minutes ago. I'm parched. Right.
I haven't been drinking so long.
And could I have gotten a drink from the dozens and dozens of people that had coolers of beer and cider? Yeah.
No, actually, there's no way to know that for sure.
No, I did.
Oh, okay. No, okay, so we did go and do that after.
But I had a beer literally fall in my lap.
It was at his feet.
Whatever.
I was sitting down.
His lap was equal to his feet.
Yeah.
I was sandbagging in front of all
I
this
have
fans.
sandbagging in front of all of my fans. So I have a beer. I have this shitty, nasty, warm skunk beer laying directly in my lap. So of course I drink that, and people fucking love it. They eat it up. It's amazing. The referees come over and they score the beer one way or another. I have no idea what's going on. I hand them the empty beer at that point. I'm like, 1 point. Cool, whatever. I don't give a shit. I just got a free beer. Ever since then, we started playing it, and it's not an overly complicated game. They just scored the beer, how it's been busted.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into all of that. We can get into that later.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to talk about in music. After that, I don't remember much. I know we made it back to the Serengeti. Do you have anything to add?
Went back to the Serengeti, went back to camp, we had dinner. One of the guys said something about not being able to drink as much moonshine. I apologize. One of the guys said something about not being able to drink as much moonshine as they could. So we downed about half a
Mason jar.
mason jar of moonshine.
I remember that.
They said, we're not going to be able to go out. And we said, fuck you.
I remember that.
And left anyway. At this point, there's this thing called Midnight Madness, where all the shops have discounts, and Joey, or Eric as he is in the SCA, decided to go to the shops. I decided, fuck you, I'm going back to the bog. We had such a great time during the day. Let's see what goes on there during the night.
Also, during Midnight Madness, that's when all our friends from the bog are up in the shops.
Yeah, there's nothing
So I was wrong.
going on down there.
There's nothing going on. But,
Because they're discounted up to 75% off.
yeah.
At least 20% off.
Yeah.
But me, my first time, my arrogance, I walked down there.
Hubris.
So I get down there with, all I had was my drink and a pack of cigarettes. I met some other guy, his first Pennsic as well, had the same idea, except he had a bottle of tequila. So, naturally, 45 minutes later, we're almost out of cigarettes and we're completely out of tequila. Too drunk to find our way back. And wound up at a bar that we just so happened to stumble upon down in the bog. At some point, we got separated because I started flirting with some random girl that I found down there.
Jake,
The girl I was talking to before.
I don't remember. Do you remember what bar it was by chance?
Yes, it was
Gabriel's Landing.
Gabriel's Landing.
Gabriel's Landing. Okay.
I started flirting with some random girl. The girl that we had known from before and shown us the ropes at the beginning of the day ended up showing up there later, so I started talking to her, started flirting with both of them.
Yeah.
Some other guy showed up, and I'm too drunk, and he's outdoing me, and I'm like, God damn it, I really, really need a wingman at this point in time. And then about the time I'm thinking that, I hear from behind me, Draco?
So
Is that you?
Back up about 5 minutes. At this point, I have left Midnight Madness because it's approximately 3 o'clock in the morning. Ish. And I am in the dregs of Pennsic. I'm lost. I am completely and absolutely lost. I'm not even aware that I'm at Pennsic. I'm not even aware that I'm on the site anymore. Again, 500 acres, and I didn't even look at the map that they give you when you check in. As far as I know, I'm walking just into the boondocks of Pennsylvania. I'm walking down this gravel path. I can't see my hand. Literally, I checked. I can't see my hand this far away from my face. There's no light at all. No moon, no stars, no tiki torches, no lanterns, nothing. I legitimately kept walking off the path. And I make it, another 5 feet or so. I wasn't lost for very long, but I was lost. At least for 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
And I make it through that section. And I see a light at the end of the tunnel. I see my salvation. And I make my way towards that. And I know that you want me to talk about the weird voices that I was hearing.
Again, mental patient.
No, man.
Okay.
I swear to God, there was voices in the trees, fucking laughing and giggling. I don't want to talk about it, all right?
All right, we'll put a pin in
It was
that.
weird, it
Calm
was
down, crazy
terrifying,
lady.
and I don't like talking about it. Because you don't believe me, but you should because you've been to Pennsic.
Yeah, man. So,
See, that's that kind of validation that I can only get at Pennsic, because everybody else will be like, yeah, totally, no, I've seen that. I heard that. I was there before.
totally, man, I've seen that.
100%. Fuck you. And I see a light, and lo and behold, it is Gabriel's Landing. Of course, I'm not aware of this. I'm not aware of this at this point in time because my first 3 years at Pennsic, I was 100% convinced that Gabriel's Landing just kind of teleported throughout Pennsic, and you can only find it when you were drunk and lost. But I walk up on it, and it's like a lone bar in the middle of nowhere. Now, on the outskirts of nowhere, actually.
Yeah.
Because the interstate's like right over there, and you can hear it. And I see this green cloak, or this person wearing this green cloak, getting rejected by some women.
Oh, yeah.
So I immediately know it's Draco.
Yeah.
I go,
Yeah.
Draco! Buddy, oh, pal, old chum.
Strike it out again, eh?
There was more tears in theirs than is showing.
You never walked on the ferry road, the dark ferry road. That's what I'm calling it.
Okay, Grandpa.
And now we're all up on Gabriel's Landing. Draco's doing his thing very well. And I end up insulting an Uber Duke. And an Uber Duke is someone that's been king multiple times within the SCA, which is very hard to do. You have to win like fighting tournaments and stuff. It's just a whole other conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't really insult him, I should say. I was, at my first SCA event, and I didn't recognize the multiple paraphernalia of knights and kings and dukes that he was wearing.
I would like to point out that I already knew and was not helping.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'm here for you, buddy. Whatever you need.
So, from what I remember, feel free to interject. We ended up going back to this girl's camp that you were talking with.
Yeah.
With some other random girl and some other random guy. I don't remember any of them. All I remember is going back to her camp, sitting down in a very nice comfy chair, her handing me a complete roast duck and saying something about sharing. I don't know. I ate the entire thing.
Doesn't understand that word.
And then I passed out.
It was half a duck, and he did share it, mostly because it just sat in his lap and none of us cared.
Did I just pass out in the middle of eating it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's not sharing.
Look.
That's stealing.
You stole my roast duck?
It was delicious.
How dare you?
It was delicious.
So we woke up the next morning, and Draco's friend wasn't there from what I remember.
Nope, she was gone.
Friend, yeah. Okay.
Well, the person that invited us to her camp,
Okay.
that person, I don't remember her name, I don't remember what she looks like, I don't remember what camp it was.
Might have been a ghost.
This was 6 years ago. All I remember is waking up. Pretty sure I was in the same chair.
Okay.
And I know I was in the same camp.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And I wake up to this very large, hairy, shirtless man staring at me
It wasn't made, by the way.
when I woke up. He was bigger than you.
Well, that's impressive.
Significantly. Staring at me when I woke up. He looked at me. Dead in my eyes. I'm pretty sure he was looking at me and Draco's eyes at the exact same time.
Which is impressive, because I was not next to him.
And this man wasn't cross-eyed either. It's that kind of intimidating soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't soul.
Yes.
He was confused. And he goes, "You want pancakes or waffles?"
And we went.
Waffles. And then we left because we were terrified.
Good call. Wait, did you get waffles first? And
No,
then leave?
I didn't get anything. I left.
We waited for a minute, and we're like, we
I
should
think
run.
we waited for literally 15 seconds.
I was like, nope.
Say no.
It's been too long. Let's go.
I have too many stories of waking up in other people's camps and it just not ending as well as I hoped. You know?
Yeah.
So we made it back to our camp, I think maybe in time for breakfast.
Yeah, no, we made it before everybody else woke up.
Oh, that's right.
Jake, you're going to add to the story.
All right.
Just say that.
So we get back to camp.
Uh-huh.
Nobody else is awake. So we're sitting there, and, of course,
Wishing you
we needed to pour ourselves another drink. So we're drinking, mostly to get rid of the hangover.
Of course.
And these people get up, they're like, "Oh, did you guys just wake up?" "No, we just got back home." "What?" "Yeah, we got some shit to tell you guys."
I think it's a pretty good stopping point right there.
I agree.
For the first podcast, an hour and 42 minutes in.
Not bad, not bad.
On the recording, anyway. Who knows what it'll end up in post. But I guess...
20 minutes.
It's like, oh, wow, we're a lot less funny than we thought.
We're terrible.
You guys want to do a shot where we go?
You should really edit this when you're drunk.
Oh, absolutely. That's the only way it's going to be funny.
So, to end the podcast, 2 whiskeys.
2 whiskeys.
You have rum over there.
Yeah, I'm not choosing you guys.
I had a good talking point to end the podcast with, and I just completely forgot it over the last 3 shots.
Okay, that's fair. This has been a 2 Whiskeys podcast. Thanks for listening.
Go fuck yourself.
Yep.
Screw you guys. And,
I don't know.
I'm bad with outros.
Die mad about it.
Burn in hell.
I haven't covered all the points.
Live long and prosper. Is that copyrighted?
Look, okay, that's too positive.
Eat a dick.
Eat a dick. This has been a 2 Whiskeys podcast. We'll come up with a better outro later. Thank you.
We won't.
No, we won't.